Hello, everyone. This is Billy Sellers, and today we are at part 2 with our Through the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, subject of tithing, 10th tithe. Our first one was Abraham. This one is Jacob. So here we go. Let's dive in. Jacob has a dream. He sees a big ladder coming from earth to the heavens. He sees angels ascending and descending. Then God says, I'm going to give you this land and to your children and to your children's children and so forth and so on. And then he said, I'll be with you and I'll bless you and I'll protect you and I'll be with you always. So here's a promise that God comes and makes to Jacob. Jacob is asleep and God gives him a dream. So then Jacob wakes up, right? So then he gets a rock and he makes a pillar out of it and he pours oil on it. And he names the place. Then he makes a vow. Jacob makes a vow with stipulations. He said, if God will be with me and keep me in this way that I go, and if he will give me bread and clothing, and if I can come back here to my father's house, then he shall be my God. If and when God blesses me like he said he would, then I will give you a full 10th of all that you give me. So here's the storyline. God gives Jacob a dream. God comes to Jacob, tells him what his plans are for Jacob. Jacob wakes up. Jacob makes an altar out of a rock. Then Jacob makes a vow saying, if and when you manifest these things in my life, then I will make you my God, and then I will give you 10% of all that you give me. Just the opposite of what you've been taught today to tithe and trust God. Jacob did not do that. Jacob said, when these things manifest, only then will I give 10%. And how did Jacob give God 10%? And what did Jacob give? Because there was no temple. There was no priesthood set up per se. There was Melchizedek, but we find no encounters with Melchizedek anymore. But we can see somewhat of an answer in Genesis 33, where Jacob builds an altar. So it'd be safe to say that his tithe, his 10th, would be there upon that altar. Because the tithe was not money, even though they had money. Abraham bought graves with money. They used money just like everybody else did back in those days. But the tithe was not money. And if we look at the promises that Father told Jacob, it was about lands. And lands produce crops. So the tithe that he was talking about here has to be the burnt offerings of that altar that he built in Genesis 33. Next time we're going to the law. See you then.